So welcome back to Connection to Excellent, where I decided to interview really highly successful people. And today my guest is unstoppable Tracy from Canada, from Toronto. So very welcome, Tracy. It's so an honor for me to have you here in my show. Thank you so much.
Cornelia. Thank you, Cornelia. It is an honor to be on your fabulous show and to see you again from when I was in Germany with you. It's so fabulous. And my last name is Schmitt, as people can see. Dad was German, but this is such a global show, international show.
Yes. So thank you so much, Tracy. And first of all, I would like to say some words to you, to my audience, who you are, because so there's so much to say who you are. And so first of all, Tracy, I made some notes because I cannot keep it in my head, it's so much. So Tracy is a #1 international speaker and international bestseller and #1 global female transformational leader out of 170 countries. So she's a host of a TV, and she's #1 international mega success, TEDx speaker from Toronto. She spoke in 38 countries, and she shared the stage with Fonda, Mark Whalberg, Dr. Phil, and Michael Douglas, and thousands other people. So Oprah magazine shared her story as quest for the Gold World Cup sailors who climbed Himalayas. And I guess 3 weeks ago, she Spider-Woman down a 25-store building.
Yeah.
She has been seen on Drive, Business Booster, Global, NBC, Fox, and other the world. So she speaks through barriers within corporations such as Uber and airlines as a Maya disruptor, advocated with governments, which results in crashing Canada's market. And by the way, she is 4-way empathy, and she is not just talking high performance in business, she lives it.
Yeah.
And as a no-excuse millionaire corporate consultant who is laser-focused, hard-hitting business coaches, she builds teams that are outperforming the stock market in times of crisis. So, Tracy, did I miss anything?
You were pretty all-inclusive. That was pretty fabulous.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, by the way, if there's somebody who doesn't know me, my name is Kornelia Müller, and I'm a leadership and high performance coach. So, Tracy, by all this stuff, what you are doing, so I can imagine that you are also dealing with challenges.
Yes, like all business owners,
yes.
And athletes, and adventurers, and humanitarians.
So, how do you manage your challenges? People love to listen to stories of how people manage their challenges.
Oh yeah, I think you mentioned that I met Mel Gibson, and it was really interesting. Mel Gibson is the movie star of the movie Braveheart, and he does this scene in Braveheart where he's riding a horse, and he has super passionate. He's got all these small group of men compared to the size of the army that's facing them. And he's trying to inspire them to ride off to their death. They know that they're well outnumbered in order to try to make a stand about their freedom and not back down. And so he very passionately talks to them about, you can go home and live another day until they come burn down your houses and rape your wives, or you can stand and fight for your freedom right now. And it's really passionate. He's holding the reins of his horse, and he's like, or you could stand to fight another day, or live, your family can live in freedom knowing you fought to your last breath, right, or something. And he's all passionate. And one of the audience members asked him, like, how did you do that scene? Kind of like, you're like, how did you overcome your challenges? when you're like skating and you seem invincible, right? And Mel Gibson, he says, fear. And everybody's like, what? Fear? What do you mean fear? And he's like, yeah. He says, every time I raised my voice to say my lines, the horse kicked me off. The horse was afraid of me and kicked me off. So when I finally said my passionate scene, I was holding the reins in dear life of the horse, right? I was just petrified, and it came across with, unbelievable passion, because his eyes are like, do you want to live, right? Like freedom. And it was just because he was so afraid he was about to be kicked off the horse. And everybody's like, so Tracy, do you climb those Himalayas, or did you scale that 25-story building?
Yes.
Or when you're on stages with, Dr. Phil, or when you're on stages where there's thousands in the audience, or when you're facing the government and saying you want Uber in Canada, and you got 300 taxi drivers behind you shouting and yelling and spitting. They're being really inappropriate. They weren't being businessmen. When you're advocating for Uber, like, how do you do that? You must be fearless, right? And I'm not fearless. Courage is doing it in spite of the fear. And your show is so much about intuition. My gut, I knew in my intuition that I had to go for it with my sailing dream. And my family said, we're angry. If you go, we're not helping you. We think that's an unrealistic idea. We love you, but we're not helping you. And my friends were like, are you kidding? And you're going to miss my wedding, or you're going to miss the baby shower, or you're going to miss things in my life if you go off to train with your sailing. And they couldn't even begin to imagine that I was going to be away at these sailing regattas. And then when I showed up with the sailing regattas, most of the sailors are missing a foot, or they're missing a hand, like they're only missing one body part. And I call that paper cuts, right? Or they're being paralyzed from the waist down. And so I'm missing my arm, my left arm above elbow. I'm missing my right hand, and my right elbow isn't typical. So my right arm is affected too, with no hand. And both of my legs are amputee above knee. So I'm missing both legs above the joint. So I've got 4 limbs missing. So that's why we say 4-limb amputee. And so when I showed up on the docks, and I'm a woman, if you haven't gathered by now, I'm a lady. My gender that I identify with is she. And the gender that I'm attracted to are male. But it's everybody welcome, right? It just happens to be a pronoun. So when I show up on the dock, it is male predominated. Like in Melbourne, Australia, there are 27 men and there's 3 ladies. And I'm one of them, one of the 3. And everybody's got their hands and their feet. Nobody's missing their arms and their legs. Excuse me, missing their hands and their feet.
Bless you.
Thank you. Look at that. I put too much deodorant on. I'm allergic to my own deodorant. I wanted to smell good for our viewers, right? That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it's really
fear, you do it fear. So you do it in spite of fear, even though you're afraid. Courage is in spite of fear.
Yeah.
In spite of naysayers, in spite of doubt, you do it anyway.
Yeah. And I guess you need also your passion, because I see in you a lot of passion.
Thank you, Kornelia. Thank you.
Yeah, and always when I'm watching you on Facebook, I think, oh my God, what she's doing right now again. You always look for different challenges. I have this feeling. So what is your next challenge? Do you have an idea already? My big world goal is world peace 2035. I believe we can achieve world peace. You know how we define world peace
is much longer than your show has. But in essence, World Peace 2035. But my next big, which is a challenge, but also a goal or adventure, is North Pole. So not going to a really close site, but getting right to the North Pole, sledding in to the North Pole. I know there's a man with a disability who's paralyzed that's done it, but not many with a disability have done it, and I don't think a woman has done it, and I know nobody with no arms and no legs have done it. So the North Pole is my next big adventure. 25 stories now to the North Pole.
Wow, great. And listen, I can imagine, Tracy, it didn't always went good also in your life. So maybe you can also pick something up and what's maybe very interesting for the people who watch this show.
Yes. And you know, it is that idea. I told you that I took off to go pursue my Paralympic dream. And you know, one of the first knockdowns was when family and friends and everyone was so loving and so concerned for me that they were all against the idea. And you know, probably as business owners, you get that too. You're like, what? You're going to invest in who? Or yourself? You're afraid? Wow, that's a lot of money to invest in a coach. But you know, who you surround yourself with is who you become. And in sailing and in skiing and in sport, I'm all about high performance. So if I want to get to the Paralympics or the Olympics or World Cup, I've got to, it makes sense, invest in high performance coaches. And it's funny in life, why it takes us longer to get that light bulb. I need to invest in a high performance coach in life to also get high performance in life, to get high performance in my business. But in my sailing, this high performance coach, Magnus Liddahl, gold Olympian, was in the States. And I'm like, who you surround yourself with is who you become. And so everybody's against it. I pack up my car all by myself and I'm heading down there, and I don't wear my legs when I'm driving. And then I got to get gas. I'm like, oh, okay, I got to do this. So I bum out of the car without my legs on, and I bum to the back of the car to put the gas in, which is of course over my head without my legs on, to figure it out. How am I going to do this? Because I've been driving for hours and hours. I can't wear the legs 24 hours. So I'm going to get the gas in, and then this gigantic truck driver comes and gives me a hand. And you know, Kornelia, I'm pretty sure I would have got that gas in that gas tank. But how wonderful that this person came.
Yes.
But I wasn't going to figure it out sitting on a couch at home. I wasn't going to become a Paralympic champion being in my seat in my car, right? I had to get in my car and drive down and influence and persuade Magnus Liddahl. And I have to get out of my car to get gas. You have to, sometimes you don't know how you're going to do something, but you got to just get in action, believing with full certainty, even though you don't know how, that you can do it. You know, with skiing, because I got out of my car and the driver saw me in action, I attracted people in action, and it came to me. And I'm not saying you wave a magic wand. I have to be in action to attract the right kind of people on my journey. I have to be in action to get to Magnus. Magnus didn't answer my phone, my email, my Twitter, none of it. But I had to drive down. And when I first met Magnus, he was washing a boat in a parking lot. And I was like, Magnus, I'm Tracy from Toronto. I'm going to pursue my Paralympic dream. I'm so sorry that I Twittered you and Facebooked you and emailed you and phoned you. And Magnus was sort of like deadpan, in shock a little bit by my whirlwind Tracy, tornado Tracy, right? And it was like washing his boat. And I realized I wasn't speaking to what he was concerned with in that moment. I wasn't talking to his filter, right? I wasn't speaking to his listening. So I picked up a sponge. I got a sponge. I picked up a sponge. Look, I have a tissue. I picked up a sponge and I started washing the boat with Magnus. Because that was Magnus's listening. Magnus's concern was washing a boat. Well, I ended up washing boats for 3 months. 3 months. I washed Magnus's boats before he finally said, come on, let's go sailing. And so I needed to speak to the truck drivers listening. He needed to see me in action in that parking lot to help me with gas. I needed to speak to Magnus's listening. He doesn't want it. That's my dream. It's my Paralympic dream. We often approach people that are doing better than ourselves and like, oh, I want to be on your stage, or how do you do it, or what can, right? I needed to speak to Magnus's listening. He's a gold Olympian that sails and coaches high performance with gold sailors, able-bodied men in the Olympics, not women, and not my Paralympics, right? Not so. I needed to speak to his listening.
Yeah.
And what we all need to do. And so how do you have that get over challenges is you need to speak to others listening, not to what's going on in your world. And then you counter offer, right? And you're available. And then Magnus finally said, come on, let's go sailing. And the truck driver said, I'll help with that gas. And even though you don't know how, so I started to talk about skiing and I realized I hadn't finished the sailing story. In skiing, people who are missing their legs or are paralyzed from the waist down, they go sit skiing. And so without my hands, I couldn't hold the outriggers to sit ski. Well,
oh, are you still there, Tracy?
Well,
The connection is right now bad. Tracy, can you hear me?
I had to.
Tracy, right now I cannot hear you.
I had to find the Kornelia.
Now she's again here.
Here I am. What I find, Kornelia, is what works really well is you just wait. The connection comes back. Don't cut it.
Yeah.
Let it come back on its own.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Tracy.
So we talked about skiing. If I could just do the punchline with the skiing, is that okay? Do you want me to start from the beginning of the skiing story or just the end?
The end. Till the end.
So we get there, and my ski instructor is size 12 ski boots. And how come that's relevant is we weren't going to figure it out on a couch at home. What we did is we took my legs off, my walking prosthetic legs off, and we put my thighs, my stumps, my leg stumps in men's ski boots backwards. In men's ski boots backwards. And we used double tip skis. Now we never would have Googled that. We never would have found that out unless we went for it. So you've got to embrace the possibility I'm going to ski. Embrace the possibility I'm going to have a thriving business. You are going to have a thriving business. You are going to be an incredible parent. You are going to be a phenomenal high performance coach. You are going to make millions. The only thing stopping you from being a millionaire is you. But embrace that possibility, even though you don't know how. And you just get started and you figure it out. And when you're in action, you figure out those backwards boots, but you don't find out those boots thinking about it all the time. Think about it, have a strategy, speed of implementation, get in action, and solutions that you can't begin to imagine come, but you have to get.
So what I can hear is the most important is really take action,
Yes.
take action, and no excuses. And is there something else what you could recommend before we close the interview? Is there something what you could recommend the people?
You know, you just said no excuses. And you know, the worst thing in the world is a good excuse. You know, I'm a four-way amputee. I have every excuse. And no one would judge me. And in fact, people like to almost suppress me out of kind hearts because they don't want to let me down. They're like, Tracy, sailing is tough, and how are you going to do it with has no hands and no legs, and it's an able-bodied sport, and there's all these big, strong men with massive muscles, right? Women mostly don't do it. Never mind four-way amputee. And I have a good excuse. And the worst thing in the world for our listeners is a good excuse. And I can't begin to imagine what's going on in people's worlds, right? It's just horrific. There's the pain of the letdown in letdown relationships and letdown agreements, in bankruptcy, in things much more horrific than even divorce or bankruptcy or someone stealing from you, things that I don't even want to put words to that are happening to people. And you have a good excuse to need a timeout, to relax, to wait.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you have no excuses, you have no limits. So it's a little bit of tough love. No excuses, no limits. And I was lucky enough to be born this way, born limitless. L-I-M-B in English spelling is the word limb, limitless. I was lucky to be born limitless.
Yes.
But you can be limitless. All of our listeners can be limitless with no excuses. And so if you don't know computer, you don't know Wi-Fi, you don't know social media, or you don't know who to start with, those are excuses. It doesn't matter, you don't know how. You get started and you figure it out, but you believe you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. No excuses, no limit.
Oh, so great. Thank you, Tracy. It's so great to listen to you. So much power in you. And it's so, yes, it's so great. So, Tracy, how can people find you if they are interested to listen to more from you or make business with you?
Well, thank you, Kornelia. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share Unstoppable Tracy. Unstoppable is with two P's, PP and Tracy. I have no hands and no feet, and I have no letter E in Tracy. It's just Tracy. No extra parts. Unstoppable Tracy. And that's on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And that's my website, and that's my YouTube channel, and that's my Google Plus account. I'm Unstoppable Tracy. If you do the hashtag Unstoppable Tracy, all one word, anywhere you like, Google, internet, social media, you will find Unstoppable Tracy everywhere. And my book is called Unstoppable You, book.ca. So on all my handles, you'll find a free link to a free downloadable copy where I share my stories, but bigger, I ask you. So you heard my story. What works for you? What doesn't work for you? And what's ahead? And that's just one chapter's question. Every chapter asks you questions to be unstoppable you instead of Unstoppable Tracy alone. It's much better, Unstoppable Tracy, Unstoppable You.
Yes.
Together.
So thank you so much, Tracy. I also will put the links underneath the interview that the people can really connect you. So I thank you so much, Tracy, that you took your time, because I know your time is really limited, and that you say, yes, I will be in your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kornelia. It's lovely to connect.
Thank
You for listening, listeners and viewers.
Thank you. And I also thank you to all the people who are watching this show. And we both hope that we were a contribution for you. And we will see us next week again in Connection to Excellence. And now I say goodbye and have a great week and bye-bye. All my love to you. Bye.
Connection to Excellence.